This is Gabriel Gonzalez for Cageside Press here with the lightweight contender who is going to be making big noise in Riyadh on October 19th. The mercenary AJ McKee taking on former Cage Warriors champion Paul Hughes. AJ, I'd like to start with that. You've made this trip to Riyadh before. Can we go back to that? How was that trip, the time acclimation, and how do you feel like that experience is going to help you as you go back there again in a couple weeks?
Overall, the trip was awesome, man. I like Riyadh a lot. I like the people out there. Everyone's loving, welcoming. As far as getting acclimated, it didn't take much. I decided to stay about halfway through being out there. I realized that our training time here in California is their nighttime out there. So there's kind of no need to get acclimated to their time schedule, just kind of stay on my time schedule here in California, and everything works out perfect. My hardest training sessions in the morning, which is their nighttime, so it's about the same time that I'll be fighting. So yeah, everything just kind of worked out perfect.
I mean, that's awesome. Let's go back to that night, man. Obviously, Clay Collard, highly regarded, no slouch. And to a lot of people from the outside were watching that, and you were just dialed in from the jump. I mean, walk me through what that fight was like from your point of view, because it was arguably one of your best performances ever.
Um, we kind of had a game plan, we had the game plan, go out there, stand up with them for a little bit, see how things go on the feet, and then from there, if things aren't going too well or you don't want to be in there, just go ahead and take them down and choke them out. So that was kind of the game plan, and it was a great game plan. We knew what his flaw was. We just needed to figure out how to execute the plan. So once I landed that standing elbow, and he looked at me like it didn't even budge him, I was like, "Yep, no need to stand up." So I just took him down and got him out of there.
I mean, look, that was an amazing performance. A lot of fans were hoping to see you sooner. Obviously, there's always excitement when AJ McKee fights. It's been several months since that last one. You're a young guy. I don't imagine you got hurt in that fight. So how have you been keeping yourself busy these last few months?
Um, just eating good, man. Eating good and staying in the gym, staying busy, staying active. Um, you know me, there's no days off really. It's full send every day, just consistent work, day in, day out, work, 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 work. So once we got the call for the fight, I was already pretty much in shape. So to come full circle, started training camp, put the training camp together. Um, it just everything kind of lined up perfect.
I'd like to ask you about the stuff that's been going on over there at PFL/Bellator. Um, when we spoke closer to the fight in February, a lot of people were still saying a lot of the same things. They're figuring it out, where they're gonna go, how things are maybe gonna shake out. Now we're at the end of the year. We've seen, how the rosters have been divided. What have been your thoughts? Because obviously there's been a lot of talent, but it's very spread out around the different subdivisions. Just what are your thoughts on the way that they've split up most of the rosters?
I don't really see it as them splitting the rosters up because, um, there's a lot of things still that are in play on Bellator's end, and I think it's just a great opportunity because guys have the opportunity to go back and forth between two companies that are kind of independently doing their own thing, but at the same time, they're still in unity. So, for me, I think it's the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? I get to go showcase my skills on PFL's platform, but then again, at the same time, I I'm able to potentially go and fight for Bellator's world title at the same time. So for me, I wouldn't say there's really a split. It's just a matter of uh, doing what makes sense. And I think that's what Bellator's kind of into, and that's kind of what PFL is into. The PFL has their tournament series where you become a world champion, you fight through the tournament, where Bellator still is able to put on regular fights and regular shows and just make kind of superstar matchups, and then coming full circle, we go to Saudi and you got guys like Francis and the Brazilian who are just big super fights that people want to see.
No, I mean, that does lead me to my next question because we are in a great time for the lightweights. I'll be honest with you, of all the divisions since the merger, I feel like yours has had the most. I guess how do they make it all work? Because you got the tournament final with two Bellator guys, Brent Primus and Gotzi, and then you obviously have the guy who still has the belt in Usman Nurmagomedov. You're a major player in all of this, AJ. When you look at that, are you more invested in either guy for your own career?
I think the fight to make is Usman. You know what I mean? That's the fight everybody wants to see. So that's the fight that I obviously want. You know, he's the world champ. So that's the fight that I want to get into.
Let's talk about the guy you do have on deck, Paul Hughes. Obviously, very hyped up when he signed with the company. What do you think of his game and what he brings to the table with what he's done?
He's a brawler, you know. I don't think he's really been tested yet. We haven't seen much from him from guys. He's fought a few well-rounded people, but he hasn't really fought anybody that's gonna push him and test him like that yet. So
I
I
did
think this is gonna be a big fight where I'm gonna be able to kind of push him.
I also wanted to ask because obviously he's had his own platform over at Cage Warriors and he's also been brought in to start with the Bellator brand. This is easily the biggest fight of his career. You've been in your share of big matchups. I think about those fights with Pitbull and everything else. How do you feel like that big fight experience is going to translate out there in the cage on the 19th?
Um, it's a big platform, you know what I mean? It's probably one of the biggest platforms in the world. Everyone's calling Saudi the new fight mecca and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to it.
Two appearances, I'm sure, is not what you would like next year. You get this fight done, you get the W against Paul Hughes. What would you like for your career? How would you like to shake out if you could write it out with the powers that be at PFL?
Um, if it was up to me, I would book the Usman fight. You know, that's the fight everybody wants to see. That's the biggest fight I feel like the lightweight division can put on at the moment is Usman and I. Obviously following through with the Bellator tournament that fell through. He was able to fight Shibli again, and Shibli, you know, they were both in the finals of the tournament. I caught staff first round, so I wasn't even able to fight in the tournament. But I think leading into the tournament, that was the fight everybody wanted to see, which was Usman and I. And that's he's been the man, you know what I mean? Since I called Patricky out and he beat Patricky for the world title to current. He's been the man. He's been holding that world title. So I think ideally that's the fight to make.
Um, I did have another one. You had made a mention, I believe it was earlier this year, of signing with Happy Punch, and which is obviously very tied to the influencer boxing scene. Obviously, your boy, pretty boy Anthony Taylor. Is this something that AJ McKee might be exploring if schedule permits? Maybe picking up a spot on one of these influencer cards next year?
Definitely, man. I love the whole boxing genre. I love the art aspect of boxing, you know. It's one dimension of the fight game. So for me it's a different skill set that I'd actually be able to kind of just taper down and not have to worry about elbows, kicks, ground game, jiu-jitsu and everything else. To where I'd actually just be able to focus on my hands, and I think that'd be a very big key to my striking in the fight game. So for me, yeah, I'd love the box, man. It's just once again trying to find the right fight and who to fight.
One final one. Obviously, a lot of eyes on that main event, the return of Francis Ngannou to mixed martial arts. Who do you got, and how do you see it going between Ngannou and Henin?
Man, I'm always rooting for Francis. I always want Francis to win, but I just don't know, man. This is a tough fight. That guy's very athletic. He's big. Um, I'm rooting for Francis all the way. I'm in Francis's corner, but I have a weird feeling about this fight. He's been away boxing a little bit lately, and he hasn't really been in the mixed martial arts realm. So I don't know. I'm gonna I don't know.
Well, we know it's
That's a
going to be.
tough one.
Well, we know that the undercard is obviously going to be highlighted by the mercenary AJ McKee taking on Paul Hughes October 19th in Riyadh, ESPN Plus pay-per-view in the United States. AJ, thanks for the time and best of luck, man.